At its heart, OneFeather is intended to be a tool that has real value that nations, First Nations, and Indigenous people can use on a daily basis. The intent here is to create Indigenous, specifically designed digital solutions that drive the cost down of all the administrative pain points that leadership has in doing business with its Indigenous members, and everything from communication to distribution of resources and, of course, decision-making through electronic voting.
At the core of OneFeather's purpose has always been that mission from Lawrence of empowering First Nations and their members in Canada. For a long time we're building nation-building technology. That was our mission statement, and we've moved into more of this holistic. It's not just nations, it's the people that make up those nations, and it's them interacting in their day-to-day life that greater purpose really has driven us to get to the point where we're at.
Some of the values that OneFeather brings is reliability and trustworthiness. We offer a level of professionalism in electoral officer services that I don't think is provided by any other company in the country. And we're staffed by Indigenous people as well.
How do we redefine our business model and that whole corporate experience through that Indigenous lens? What can we do to leave more on the table? What can we do to disrupt all those things that continue to oppress, isolate, or otherwise cause harm or trauma to Indigenous folks? In 2014, we conducted our first electronic vote on a land code vote with the Malahat First Nation. It was tremendously successful. And if we flash forward, we have over 180 First Nations using our platform, including electronic voting and everything from chief and council elections to ratification votes to land code votes to major settlement votes with Canada, oftentimes in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
I think that OneFeather is really setting the standard for how Indigenous elections can be operated in Canada. Our procedures and best practices are over and above what is prescribed by Canada. And we think of the Indian Act, the First Nations Elections Act, and First Nations elections codes as being a baseline, and we always attempt to go over and above that process to deliver the best possible election we can.
We often talk about data sovereignty, and that's where the Indigenous person owns the rights and has the tools to protect their Indigenous identity in a digital space.
The end mission for OneFeather is to create a single portal for Indigenous, Metis, and Inuit folks in Canada to be able to log in and access any of the rights and privileges that they are entitled to.
Building the OneFeather app is just that next step of creating that Indigenous sovereign identity that is immutable, that can't be challenged, that's locked in. So let's create that truth center, that identity, through the application. And so every interface, every action, whether you're using it for voting, you're a member registrar, communicating with your nation, using the financial toolkits we put in there, every one of those transactions reinforces your identity, confirms who you are. And so when it comes time to renew your status card, you don't need to go through the application process. You just push a button, renew status card. All the data that Canada requires to renew that status card is sent digitally, including a current photo, and that status card renewal just happens. You don't need to go through these processes of filling out paperwork every time you want to confirm who you are. The real wealth of an individual is measured by what they give away, not by what they keep. And so let's continue to really focus in on that. And from a traditional perspective, how are we leaving more on the table for Indigenous communities?